Ooh, Cotton, you've got some real skills. Oh, which ones? Is burst one of them? Ooh, how could you tell? Well, looking at those muscles, they're bursting out of your skin. Gemma, would you please stop objectifying me? Ladies, gentlemen, and monsters of all ages, patch 1.021 is here for Monster Hunter Wilds, and as someone who stays blind to all Monster Hunter updates of any kind until the moment they actually hit live, I can absolutely say I was not expecting such a massive random drop of new stuff and changes to happen with a patch between title updates. But this is the most pleasant kind of surprise. One of the more important aspects of the patch that is listed in the notes themselves, but with minimal details, is that there have been changes to full-on skill balance within this patch, which, especially with the way the new talismans work, has a lot of potential to actually shake things up depending on what actually happens. So today we're going to look at the patch notes related to the skills, we'll talk about how they functioned before the patch, go through actual testing and any numbers that we can get now on how these changes have been applied, and what it means for that skill and any armor related to it moving forwards. First up then, a big change for Bubbly Dance, the set bonus for Mizitsune armor. This was rejiggled in two ways, one of them being quite major. The main change is that the 2-set and 4-set bonuses have been swapped, which means that the 2-set bonus is what lets you self-apply Bubbly Dance as a status to yourself rather than the 4-set bonus, and the main reason that this matters is because it then becomes a similar value proposition to Gore Magala 2-set bonus if you pair it with the Slicked Blade weapon skill. This weapon skill gives you increased affinity to a total of 30% if you are both afflicted by Bubble Blight and are also wet, and this is actually something that you can keep at 100% uptime with the 2-set Mizitsune set bonus now, which makes it technically more valuable than the Gore Magala 2-set bonus if you put these things in a vacuum, and if we don't look at the actual armor pieces and the skill ranks on them themselves. And on top of that, it does also work incredibly well with the Coalescence skill, which sees use in element focus builds right now anyways, as you activate Coalescence every time that you drop Bubble Blight. All in all, Mizitsune set bonus is way better than it was before this, and that's just mostly because you can activate the synergies that it works with just a 2-set bonus now instead of the full 4-set bonus being required. As well, as I am making this video directly after the patch hits, we do not yet know what can drop on the new appraised RNG talismans entirely. I haven't yet seen any of the unique weapon skills, but if Slicked Blade can drop as a talisman skill instead of just being locked away to Mizitsune weapons, then it could make this set bonus change extremely relevant moving forwards. But that is a very specific if that I just don't know the answer to yet. As for the other change with this set bonus, with the 4-set bonus now being the increased evasion when afflicted with Bubble Blight, the actual evasion bonus has also been increased. Here is what evading through a Paratoad with Bubble Blight on and Mizitsune 4-set bonus as well before the patch. And here is that exact same action, the exact same circumstances, post-patch with the further improved evasion from the patch notes. Those of you with good eyes may have noticed that there doesn't seem to be any sort of difference between this effect before the patch and after the patch, so I'm sort of confused about this one because the patch notes definitely say that it increases the evasion of this effect. However, in practice it seems to be exactly the same in game. Next up, we've got some fixes and adjustments for the Warcry set bonus. This is the set bonus from Blanganga armor, which is a fun, silly concept more than anything. It lets you apply an attack buff to your allies and to yourself when you use the 2 victory gesture. Before the patch, this had a bug where it wouldn't stack with Demon Powder specifically, and Demon Powder was a higher stat increase than even the 4-set version of the Warcry bonus, with the set bonus being 6 bonus raw attack and Powder being 10. This meant that there was genuinely no reason to use this ever, as you were better off just using Demon Powder and not basing your entire build around the Warcry set bonus, which didn't stack with Demon Powder. Now they have fixed this error though, and the 2 effects can be applied at the same time. Warcry counts as its own category of attack buff, so it stacks with pretty much anything, and so you can get that plus 6 attack to all of your allies, along with the plus 10 from Demon Powders as well. This is unlikely to make the Blanganga armor meta by any means, but again, as of this moment, we are uncertain whether or not things like set bonuses are capable of rolling on the new RNG talismans, so it's possible that this could see use if that is a thing that can happen, and if you manage to roll Warcry onto a talisman. As well, they've adjusted the durations of the Warcry buff, which most people, including myself, assumed would mean that they would increase it, and well, previously, before the patch, it was a 3-minute duration, which was pretty solid, but it has now been dropped down to around 1.5 minutes. So now the effect stacks properly with Demon Powder, but it lasts for literally half as long. Now, the gesture doesn't take long to do, so once every 90 seconds really isn't terrible by any means, But that seems like a massive nerf to go along with a change that was by all rights just a bug fix to a completely just unused set bonus, so I'm pretty confused about this one honestly, but those are the numbers that we have for it. Next up, we've had a similar bug fix for the Powerhouse Set Bonus. This is the set bonus tied to Dashagama and Guardian Dashagama armor. This bonus gives you raw attack when you successfully complete a power clash or when you have a successful offset attack. This lasts for 3 minutes after you do so, with the attack boost itself being 10 bonus raw attack for the 2-set bonus, up to 25 bonus raw attack for the 4-set bonus. Previously, the main issue with this was that it also had one of these bugs where it would not stack with might pills. This is less of a ubiquitous problem than Warcry and Demon Powders, as might pills are generally used a lot more sparingly by most of the player base. But if you are, for example, hunting with a greatsword and you want to go fast so you know that any knockdown is a massive damage opening window for yourself, it's not too hard to see it coming, pop a might pill if you have a supply of them, but because Powerhouse did not stack with might pills, you would then run into the issue that using them together is entirely pointless, which made any sort of Powerhouse build completely pointless. And the thing is, Powerhouse builds aren't actually that bad stat-wise. This effect in this overlap has been fixed in the patch. You can now have both of these things stacked together. No hidden extra nerf on this one like there was for Warcry, so it is just purely better. Next up then we have the Burst Boost set bonus. This is the one tied to Guardian Ebonio Dogoran armor. This set bonus is a booster for the Burst skill. This gives you a boost to raw attack and element after you first hit against a monster, and then a further boost when you hit 5 hits in a row. If you go 4 seconds without hitting the monster, the bonus is reset. The Burst Boost 2 set bonus gave you an extra 3 raw attack while either of these bonuses were active from Burst, as well as extending the duration before the buff resets to 5 seconds. Then the 4 set bonus gave you an extra 10 attack and also extended the duration before the buff resets to 6 seconds. The patch notes read that they increased the effects of the set bonus, which is incredibly non-specific, but the actual numbers are on the set bonus itself in-game in the description. They are updated correctly, and I double-checked these with testing in the training room too. The duration increases have not changed, but now the 2 set bonus gives you plus 8 raw while any part of burst is active instead of only plus 3, so a bonus 5 raw on the 2 set bonus compared to before the patch, and the 4 set bonus is now plus 18 raw attack instead of plus 10, so an extra 8 raw on the 4 set bonus compared to how it was before. Overall, this is a genuinely sizable buff to the set bonus, and it may mean that weapons like gunlance could start to make good use of Guardian Ebonio Dogoran armor once again, which they did previously. But in the general sense, this isn't too likely to affect proper endgame meta for most weapons, unless, again, we are living in the world where talismans can have set bonus ranks on them, which I simply do not know one way or the other while making this video. Suffice it to say that the set bonus is notably better than it used to be. It's now an even better armor set to use while getting situated to begin with and getting yourself set up in high rank, and the set bonus itself in a vacuum is actually quite strong now. Next up, a relatively simple boost, which is an increase to the duration of Affinity sliding. Affinity sliding is tied to the Buttery Leathercraft group bonus, which is on a few different sets. Before the patch, this lasted for 30 seconds and gave you 30% bonus affinity after you slide on a slope anywhere in the game. This isn't bad necessarily, but is quite specific as slidable slopes only exist in a few specific zones on each map, if that, so increasing the duration does make it more relevant, but the question of how much depends on just how much the duration was buffed, with the answer being that after the patch, Affinity sliding now lasts for 60 seconds, so it is double the duration it was before. This won't make the skill desirable enough that you will specifically craft your build to include Affinity sliding where you wouldn't have, but that means if you have the effect, which for example Lagiacrus armor does, you can now make more use of Affinity sliding anytime that you enter a zone that does have slidable terrain. Then one that doesn't need testing, Shock Absorber now doesn't trigger the guard effect if your ally hits you while you're guarding, just a nice quality of life bug fix mostly, nothing really else going on here. Then a much more major fix is for the Ballistics Skill for bowgun specifically, as Ballistics will now give normal, pierce, and sprint ammo an even further critical distance than it did before the patch. Here was the old sprint ammo critical distance with level 3 ballistics and walking around to show the limits, and here's the new critical distance for it. A little bit longer on the outside range, but the important part is at level 2 2 ballistics or higher, normal and especially spread ammo no longer have a minimum critical distance. This means you can properly fire point blank at enemies right up in their face with those ammo types, as opposed to before the patch where you had to be at least a couple of feet away from the target, even with full ballistics. This means that the spread Seregios bowgun build, where you just fire spread ammo and then dodge forward to also auto reload, is now even stronger than it was before the patch, which is saying something because spread bowgun was in a pretty good place right now. Overall, the changes to the skills are pretty solid. The amount of impact it will have on the overall landscape of the game and the meta is dependent on what can and cannot be on these new talismans in the new talisman system. But regardless, every skill and set bonus that was changed on this list has improved in a meaningful way. Even the one that got nerfed realistically has more benefits from the changes than it does negatives, and the question is simply whether these changes are enough to make them relevant to the meta, or just enough to make them more fun or comfortable to use in their off-meta setups. I hope you've all enjoyed this and stay tuned in the coming days as we analyze and test all the new stuff that was added in with this surprisingly major non-title update patch, and let us know what you want to hear about most in the comments down below. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.